Hi guys, Jen here with Astrology and Earth Magic. So doing something a little bit different this week. We are talking about running electional charts to find the best time to get the best results. So we are getting ready to go on vacation, and the chart I found is for May 21st at 9:07 a.m. and I'll explain why. But here's a little glimpse at the chart for you. So you're always going to have some constraints, some dates, times. And so with this one, my husband wanted to leave early and he set me on a mission to find the best time. So initially I had this set at 3:15 to 3:25, but no, he said, no, that's too late. I want to go in the morning. So I found one with Jupiter, our greater benefic, actually exactly conjunct the ascendant. So this is the one for 907. So this is really optimism and even some good luck and good fortune. So we could take all of that we can get, really. Thought it was going to be the perfect chart, so we went with this one. So I do this as an election, sort of as a horary chart as well, using some of the same rules anyway. I use the Toldian aspects and really just the traditional rulerships. So with this chart, Cancer is on the ascendant, which what you want to look at first, and that the ascendant ruler as kind of representing the trip itself or us on the trip, along with the moon. So the moon is always the secondary significator, but in this chart, because Cancer is on the ascendant and the moon is the chart ruler, the ruler of Cancer, they're really one and the same. So makes it a little bit easier. So the moon is in the second house in the sign of Leo. So I like this placement because really when I'm on vacation, shopping and buying things is one of my favorite things I love to do. So, you have to, it's what you accumulate, the second house, and Leo is about standing out. So when we're on vacation, we try to go to little boutiques, find stuff really different that does really stand out. So hopefully that is how this is all going to play out. Then we want to look at the moon's condition and the aspects it's making to good planets and maybe the malefic planets. So in Leo, it is kind of a neutral placement. So again, I use the traditional planets and the traditional rulers and the Ptolemaic aspects. So I'll kind of ignore that opposition to Pluto it has, but I do bring in Neptune a little bit on this one, and I'll explain why. So the moon is trying to Neptune and Saturn in Aries, and it's also sextile to Mercury and the Sun in Gemini. So we keep this in mind since this is a day chart and Mars is the major malefic. So it's square to Mars in Taurus. So Mars is in Taurus, but it's a whitish square. It's about 7 degrees apart, 6 degrees apart. So I am concerned about that, but I'm not super concerned about that. It's kind of like trying to feel that optimism that Jupiter is going to be bringing us. So not super happy with that, but kind of hoping that it works out for the best. You can't have it perfect. It's impossible to find a perfect election chart. So, what I do with that, along with the ascendant, is we have Venus and Jupiter both in the first house. So both of our benefics are in the first house. And not only is Jupiter in the first house with Venus, but it's also in its dignity in Cancer, or not even its dignity, but it's in its exaltation. So it is just glowing in Cancer. And so this is optimistic, maybe some even good fortune, and it is exactly conjunct the ascendant if we can get out of the house at 9:07. So that's the plan. So next we go to the second house. So the second house we talked about. We have our ascendant ruler, the moon there, and it is sextile to our second house ruler, which is the sun. So it's making a nice aspect our chart ruler is making a nice aspect with the ruler of the sign it's in. So that is very favorable as well. So financially, as far as maybe finding some great deals, finding some great things, should be a shoo-in. Hopefully, anyway. The sun is at 0 degrees of Gemini, and it's sextile to Saturn and Neptune, conjunct to Uranus also, and a kind of wide conjunction to Mercury as well. So all good aspects there too. So I think we might have some good and unexpected luck. We'll see how that plays out. And I'll let you know later in the video, because I'm going to take you guys with us, and I'm going to document using, the video, how everything kind of plays out and how the different houses play out, and just kind of show you a little bit of examples along the way. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So you're going to want to stay tuned till the end to see how it all goes. Anyway, so hopefully we'll have some luck there. And again, stay tuned through the whole video to find out how it all plays out. So the third house represents the ride itself. So the journey to get there, and the travel. So we have Virgo there. Virgo, the ruler is Mercury, and Mercury is about travel. So, this chart's pretty good. I gotta say, I picked a good one. Mercury is in its dignity as well in Gemini. So we have the ruler of Virgo, Mercury, in Gemini in its dignity. So can't get much better than that. It's also sextile to our moon, like I said, and also to Saturn and Neptune. It's conjunct Uranus, so maybe we'll get some good news. We could use it because we have had some issues with the camp up there, so getting good news would be very favorable. So even good weather, maybe not so much traffic, that would always be nice. And with the sextile to Saturn, I hope, no real roadblocks, if you know what I mean. So like Saturn putting up those blocks and throwing traffic in front of us. Hopefully that won't happen. We always hit traffic going up there. Going through Mass is the worst. Once you get past Massachusetts, and all the mass holes, no offense, Massachusetts, it's kind of smooth sailing. So hopefully that's going to be the case. And it really looks positive. So we're going to document that as well during the trip. So stay tuned for that. The fourth house will be our camp, or the house where we are going. And this is in the sign of Libra. So that is harmony. So that's a good sign, especially since the ruler is in that first house with Jupiter. The ruler is our lesser benefic in a day chart, but still a benefic. So we are expecting some water issues to go on. There has been issues in the past with water at the camp, so we're kind of expecting that to continue. So really hoping that this will kind of, balance itself out, just be kind of like be able to kind of deal with it easily. We'll have to see about that. So again, the ruler is Venus. Venus is in the sign of Cancer, but it is square to Neptune. And it's an almost exact square. So this is why I'm bringing Neptune into it. And I usually don't use the outer planets in horary or in election charts, but I'm going to, and this is why, because Neptune rules water, and this is, and because this square is almost exact with Venus in that fourth house, the ruler of our fourth house, which we know we're going to have water issues, kind of makes it seem like these water issues are not going to go away easily. So I think it is going to be a problem. We'll see how that plays out. Hopefully it won't be, rain. I don't think we're going to have to deal much with that. The weather does look good, but we know that there's going to be plumbing issues at the house. And we're preparing ourselves for that. So it also shows the weather, the fourth house, like I was just saying. So hopefully there might be some storms, but hopefully they won't impact our whole vacation. It always does rain at one point when we're up there and if we're going to Maine. always does rain at one point, so we're kind of expecting that. So it's not going to be a total downer. Hopefully it'll be at night and we won't have to deal with it. So then we move on to the 5th house, and that brings fun, creativity, and entertainment. So we have Scorpio here. The ruler of Scorpio is Mars. Yes, it's our greater malefic in our day chart. So he is, though, sextile to Venus, and though square the moon. So gonna be a little bit of strife here. Can bring some creative issues maybe that could be impactful, because I do plan on adding lots of different clips in this video. So we may have some challenges there. I do have trouble uploading up there because we are out in the middle of nowhere. And so getting good internet service is difficult. So might have some little issues there. But it could be playing out in also, this is entertainment and things that you do for fun. So maybe not going out to eat or being able to go to some of the places that we enjoy. A lot of the places did kind of close, some of our favorite places, but some new ones have popped up. I know there's one place in particular that my husband pretty much insists that we go every single time we're up there. And if that was not open, he would be really disappointed. So, but again, stay tuned. We'll see how that plays out. So next we have the 6th house. So this is health, maybe fitness, and routines. And so here we have Sagittarius, and the ruler is Jupiter. Yes, our greater benefic, which is conjunct exactly to our ascendant. And so I love to go on runs because the run will take me down to the beach, and this should really go well. Root Jupiter also rules your legs, and I've had so many leg issues with running lately, with pulling hamstrings and all these different things. So hopefully that will all be good and my legs will be nice and strong, and I'll just truck along and I'll take you on a little journey with me, and you'll see how just beautiful it is where we go. So next we have our 7th house, our relationships, and even perhaps our partnerships. So the way that me and my husband will work together. So here we have Capricorn. Capricorn is about work, and the ruler of Capricorn obviously is Saturn. So Saturn is in our 10th house. So we'll likely, and it's conjunct to what? Neptune. Yes, that one that is likely going to bring our water issues. Can't get away from it no matter what kind of chart I ran. So Saturn is a day chart. It is the lesser malefic. So it can require some work, but in the end can be beneficial. So that doesn't scare us. We do work well together, and we've pretty much fixed up our whole house where we live at home. So we do work together pretty well, and we are ready to take on this water issue. So we're ready to go. So this shouldn't be hopefully too much of a problem, because Saturn is also trying the moon, which is our chart ruler. So that, our needs, working through it to get the, things that we need done is going to be, maybe a good thing. So just putting in that work, trines require you to put a little bit of work in. So once we do that, hopefully we'll have smooth sailing. So the 8th house moving to that's the psychological tone, maybe your anxieties, maybe your joint resources, or the resources that your spouse brings in, which is really the house itself if you think about it. And that is the source of what my husband contributes and his family, and it also contributes to some of the anxieties we have going up there. So Aquarius is the ruler, is the sign here, and with the ruler, of course, again being Saturn. So again, it points to there being some anxiety and stress around, likely the water issue at the house. And we're already going through this because we were actually going to cancel this vacation at one point because of that, because of the water issues, and that we just didn't want to deal with it. But then we said, you know what, we can do this. We're pretty good at working together, and you know what, if we have to take cold showers, we will, we'll rough it a little bit. So next we come to the 9th house. So this is the trip itself. So I like to see how this will tie in with the third house because that's about the travel to get there and then the whole trip itself, the whole journey. So this is in Pisces, and the ruler, of course, is our greater benefic of Jupiter, which is what? Conjunct our ascendant. So, and that with our ruler of the third being Mercury in dignity in Gemini, Jupiter is in its exaltation. So I think if this isn't a great vacation, besides some little issues that we have to work through, I think we're going to have a really good time, and it's very positive. So I think it's going to be, really good because neither of the trip aspects neither of the trip rulers have any bad aspects at all. So looks very promising. Anyway, next we move on to the 10th house. So this is our MC is actually conjunct with Saturn. So within 1 degree, not quite as close as the Jupiter, close onto the ascendant, but pretty flipping close. So our work will pay off, hopefully. And, but the ruler Mars, our greater benefic, is in detriment, won't be without some strife. We know that. Reputation, will we have that victory over the water? Will we triumph? I hope so. But, hopefully, I'll let you know how it goes as we work through the issues. Maybe I'll show you like some of the problems that we're having, and hopefully we'll get some good results out of it. So next we move on to Taurus, which is the 11th house, and it is networking and can be also associations that you have. We have acquaintances up there with the neighbors that do help us out when we need help up there because we're not up there all the time. So, but I am looking at it in like a YouTube standpoint as well, because like I said, I'm going to be posting all these videos, but we do have Mars here. So the ruler is Venus. So Taurus, the ruler is Venus, who is in the first house, and, so the first house is how I'm seen. So networking, YouTube, this is how we're seen. And it is sextile to our malefic of Mars, which is in there. So that actually might lessen Mars's effects a little bit, make it a little less stressful, little less maybe issues that we're going to be having. It's not, square to Mercury or anything, so hopefully there won't be those internet issues or anything. Just might take a little bit longer to get things uploaded and to get things out. So I think, again, we're going to have a lot of work to do, but I think it'll work out well. So again, watch, like, subscribe, and comment, and help to get me to succeed, help blow up the channel, because with Jupiter conjunct the ascendant, that would be fantastic. And I would love you guys to help and come with me on this journey. So lastly, we have the 12th house. Ruler is Gemini. Or ruler, it's in Gemini. Ruler is Mercury. So we know Mercury is in its dignity in Gemini, and it's only making good aspects to the moon and to Saturn. So when this 12th house is about hunkering down and just being together. It will be sweet, loving, nice, maybe even getting some good news. So keep watching and see how this all plays out. So stay tuned, keep watching. And we're off. So let's see how it goes. We left right at 9:07 on the dot, but of course, we get about 5 minutes away from the house. I realized that I forgot something and we had to go back. So Jupiter is not exactly on the ascendant anymore, but everything else still stays the same. So hopefully it doesn't make a big difference in the predictions. All right, now here we are in Freeport. We're gonna do some shopping. So if anyone knows anything about Freeport, you know that this is where LL Bean got its start. Unfortunately, the LL Bean is under construction and they're gonna do a big new flagship store, so it's all this, but you can still shop there. So shopping, and that is our second house topic. So that did pretty good, I think, because I got a couple books. This one I got at one of my favorite little bookstores in Bridgeton, Maine. Kind of had a fairy theme going on this weekend. And then this one I got for my little granddaughter, and that I got in Freeport at a new little place I found in the lady that was working in there was just awesome, and she just gave us a lot of real positivity. Got some incense too. Normally I'm searching boutiques and stuff for something really different as far as clothing go. I found some pants, but my husband actually talked me out of them, which was a good thing because they were $218 and we ended up finding them online for $150. So sometimes you just have to look around. So second house did actually work out pretty good as well. Okay, so here we are. Oh, can I get it? It's too zoomed in. All right, Massachusetts welcomes us. So this is probably going to be the worst part of the trip, but we got some Bee Gees cranking. We're going to put on a podcast, and hopefully it'll be smooth sailing. Okay, so we made it through Mass. That's the worst part. So here, where's the sign? There it is. Welcome to New Hampshire. Bienvenue. Made it with no traffic. So far, so good. Okay, so here we are in Maine. It says welcome home. So we are going to say that definitely the third house worked out. So remember, we said the third house ruler was Mercury, which was in dignity in Gemini, and it was sextile to Saturn. And if you also want to pull the ninth house in as far as the journey itself, that ruler is in its dignity because that was Jupiter. That ruler was in its exaltation actually in Cancer. So we definitely called it when it came to the third house in the travel, because it worked out great. We hit absolutely no traffic, and we always do in Mass. So far, so good. Okay, so checking in with my seventh house topic here about our fourth house topic, which was we knew we'd have some water issues, and we did. The toilet wasn't working. So what's the status of the toilet? Seventh house topic?
It's all fixed.
Yay! So one thing I was worried about is that with Mars ruling our fifth house of fun and entertainment, that there wouldn't be any good stouts, but you can always count on Definitive Brewing in Portland for a great one. Okay, fifth house going strong. Here we are at Allagash Brewing. Looking good. Hi, just doing our sixth house check-in. If you remember that our sixth house is the house of health, can be exercise, it can be, your everyday work and routines. Well, on vacation, I love to come running down to the beach here. So if you remember, our sixth house is the sign it's in is Sagittarius. Sorry, my breathing's a little bit because we just ran about 2.5 miles to get down here to the beach from our camp. I'm just going to show you around. So the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter, which is in our first house. So for the trip, right conjunct to our ascendant. And Jupiter is a very spiritual, Sagittarius is like that spiritual journey. When I run, it is like a spiritual journey. It's like you just go within yourself and you just let your mind just run away, especially when you come to something like this. Just look how beautiful. So this is Sebago Lake in Casco, Maine. Look at how beautiful it is. Can't get more spiritual than this. Feels so good, so I had to take a little break just to check in with you guys, tell you how the sixth house is working out. So health-wise, I've been kind of struggling with an MCL pull that I did a few weeks back. This is my first run that I've done outside without a brace on, and it went great. I actually am in about a 9.5 minute mile. So we got about 2.5 miles to go back to camp, but I think I'm just gonna take a little break and take all this in. So sixth house looking pretty much how we thought it might look. Okay, so we just finished our last of our run. We just hit 5 miles, and here we are at our destination, which is the Songo Locks. And when we do bring the boat up here, we'll take a video of what the locks are all about. Water raises, so you can go from one level to another. It's really cool. So legs feel great. That's that. 6th house ruler Sagittarius with Jupiter ruling those upper thighs, and my sciatic, my hamstring, and my MCL are all doing great. So I think that 6th house with that major benefic or our greater benefic of Jupiter really wins out in this one. Okay, so I have to say, of any chart that I've run for any vacation, this one ended up being probably the best one. So gave you a little bit of insight as to how most of the houses went. So like shopping, again, we had the 2nd house in Leo with the moon in it, who was the ruler of the 1st house. So we had really good luck when it came to that. I wasn't tempted to spend too much money. I did buy, like I showed you, a couple books, and then saved money by kind of looking alternative places to buy the same pair of pants that were $218 and finding them for $159. So big difference there. So kind of stop that impulse buying that I normally am in fear of. The trip both ways actually ended up being great. So the trip back home was also great. It rained, which was a little bit sketchy, but it still was about 3 hours. So under the time it usually takes, took about 3 hours each way. Usually it's about 3.5, sometimes even 4 or longer because of traffic. We hit not one bit of traffic either way. So that was in Virgo, and we have Mercury that was in its exaltation in Gemini, or it's in its dignity in Gemini. So the 4th house was Libra. That was the house itself. We did have a little trouble, but it ended up, everything just worked out. We had the hot water that we had issues with. We fixed the toilet. Well, my husband fixed the toilet super fast. So we didn't really even have to work together. We just had a really nice, harmonious time there. Just like Libra, everything was just going so well, so smoothly. 6th house, again, I had some issues when it came to my legs. That was in Sagittarius. Jupiter was in our 1st house in its exaltation, so I was able to run and exercise the way I love to, and I had no issues there. Capricorn in the 7th house, that was Saturn. Saturn ruler, and Saturn was in our 10th house. So, you know, everything was great relationship wise, of course. And then ruler of the 8th house, we had Pluto in the 8th house. But again, I don't really look at those outer planets too much. I mean, I wouldn't say that being there was like life changing or life altering, but really was just an overall good vacation. Pisces ruling the 9th, again with Jupiter as its ruler, 9th house. The whole overall trip, what couldn't have been better. Nothing went wrong. The weather was perfect the whole time. When back at home, it was downpouring most of the time, I heard. 10th house, we had Aries, which we had Neptune, kind of wide conjunction to Saturn, so I really didn't worry about that. And then we had Chiron in there as well. So, I mean, no real things that came along with that. That's reputation. So I did film this video. Hopefully it will do good. We had our 11th house for this chart was Taurus, which we had Mars. Mars was at that 1st degree. So, you know, putting this together did take a little bit of work, putting it out there. Hopefully it will do well. We'll see how that goes. Then in our 12th house, we had Gemini. So just really that hunkering down, staying together. We had great conversation. Mercury's in there, very happy. The sun at 0 degrees, no big revelations or anything like that. We just had a really great time, and it couldn't have been better. So picking the chart, I think, does make a huge difference, because there was really nothing wrong with this one. We did have that square between Venus and Saturn, but that really didn't bring us any issues. So everything just worked out swimmingly. So definitely, if you can, try to do an electional chart for if you're going on a trip or if you're planning something, to try and find the best time to get the best results, because as you see with this one, it really worked out. Now, I did one a couple years ago for when we went out west, and there were some bad aspects with that one with Mars, and I did hurt myself, so I had trouble walking, and there were some issues there. So it really does make a difference, I think, when you run these electional charts and find the perfect time. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we have some good stuff coming up. So if you did enjoy this, hit the like button. Let me know what you think. Have you ever tried doing this yourself? Do you have any fun trips coming up that you would like to find the best time for? I'd love to hear from you guys, so please leave a comment and hit the subscribe button. Like I said, we got some good stuff coming up. We have some new moons. We have Jupiter changing signs, lots of fun stuff. So I hope that you guys will hit that subscribe button. Also hit that bell so you get notified of episodes coming up. And if you did miss a couple, we do have one that's kind of getting stifled. You want to check that out before we have the next lunar lunation, and that is the full moon in Sagittarius. I just put that out, and it kind of had some issues getting started, so hopefully you guys will give it a boost for me, and I'll link it at the end. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.